Today's a big day, monumental, some might say, and that's because I'm switching from iPhone to Android with the Galaxy S21 Ultra. Now you could say I'm an Apple fanboy, and you wouldn't necessarily be wrong. I mean, I've been using iPhone for years now. I'm tied to their ecosystem with Mac, HomePod, and now HomeKit. And I haven't even tried an Android phone since I believe the Galaxy Note 4. At that time, it was a fantastic device with a great display, but it just wasn't stable enough to keep me on Android, so I switched back to iPhone. But either way, I'm a fan of technology and phones that can push the boundaries and innovate and create healthy competition for mobile innovation. But enough about that. Let's get into the unboxing. Okay, so here we have the Galaxy S21 box, and it's the Phantom Silver 128GB version. I picked it up from Amazon, and if you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description below. Now the packaging here is actually a really premium finish. I think that they customized this color based on the color of the phone that you're getting. Like I said, in my case, it's the Phantom Silver S21 Ultra. We've got Galaxy on the side, Samsung on the other, nothing on the top. On the bottom, we just have some details. And on the back here, we have the legal. Let's get into this box. So there's the S21 Ultra right there. We'll just set that aside. Next, what we have here is all the rest of the contents of the box. So we've got the SIM tool right there. Trying to figure out how to open this thing. So we've got our quick start guide, don't really need that. And here we have our charging cable. We can see that it's USB-C to USB-C. Now the one thing that's obviously missing from this box is the wall charger. Now considering they've mocked it from Apple doing this and then turn around and do exactly the same thing, I mean, come on Samsung, what are you trying to do? Regardless, if you want a wall charger for this, you'll need to pick one up, and of course I'll leave a link in the description below to one from Amazon that you can find. So now let's get to the device itself. So it's a really premium design. It's got the sort of rounded corners coming off the side, and leading to this side here, again, it's the Phantom Silver edition. We've got the power button here, as well as the volume rockers right there. On the bottom, we've got the USB-C port along with your speakers and your SIM tool. There's nothing on this side here whatsoever. On the top, we've just got our microphones. And then on the back here, we've got the sort of glistening silver color here, along with a bunch of cameras in this module here. Now, one thing about these cameras is it is a raised bump, which you can see right there, and it's quite noticeable. So if you set this thing down, you're gonna notice that it does wobble quite a bit, but if that is something that worries you, you'll be able to get a case or some sort of accessory that smooths that out and sort of evens out the phone, some of which I'll be doing a review on later this week. Now I'd like to take a moment to remind you guys that over the next few weeks, I'll be releasing a series of videos around the S21 Ultra and comparisons between it and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So if you're not already subscribed, now is a good time to do so. So now is the big moment of switching the SIM cards out. And so long, Apple. So I'm really excited to get into this. So now we're moving on to the display, so let's turn this thing on. I'm really excited to try this out. I remember on the Galaxy Note 4, I was impressed with it. I'm a big fan of the iPhone 12 Pro Max display, and I was looking forward to the 120Hz display coming to the iPhone. Considering they've missed the mark on this release, I'm really excited to try out the S21 Ultra. Already you can see this is incredible. For those who want the specs, it's a 6.8-inch quad-core display at 120Hz. It's covered by Gorilla Glass Victus, which is the strongest on the market right now. And it really is as gorgeous as it's advertised here. Yeah, look at that. The responsiveness is just wild. Something I was definitely worried about switching to Android, because last time I was on it, it just wasn't this responsive. But that is snappy no matter what you're doing. I've got to give it to Samsung on this. I actually think that this is much better than the iPhone display. And I believe we've got options here so that we can change the display. So here you've got the option for Quad HD, Full HD, or just HD. And you can see that by adjusting those, you get to change how improved the visuals are. I'm going to go with the Quad HD, and you can see that's the sharpest visuals, but the most battery life. But it would be a shame not to use that on a phone like this. I think we've also got the option here, yes, to change the frame rates. So with adaptive, it's going to automatically adjust to 120Hz when you need it. But if you don't need the 120Hz display, you don't mind it being a little more choppy, then the standard option is good enough for you. You'll get longer battery life out of it, and it'll adjust to 60Hz. But again, at 120Hz, this is just extremely snappy. It kind of reminds me of the iPad display when you're switching back and forth between home screens, just how responsive it is. Now on the top of the display, you'll realize, unlike the iPhone, they went with a hole punch design at the top rather than the notch. And that hole punch is to accommodate a 10 megapixel front-facing camera compared to the iPhone 12, which has a 12 megapixel camera. I'm just going to turn on screen recording here to show you guys a quick test. All right, so on the left right here, we have the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and on the right, we have the Samsung Galaxy S21. You can see that the colors are a little bit washed out, actually, on the S21. It might not do as well at blending the colors, whereas on the 12 Pro Max, you can see the colors are a lot more natural and real to life. I'll put both of these up on the channel so that you can see a side-by-side comparison of these. So you can see with the OLED screen that even up close you can't really tell where the camera is. It just blends in perfectly, which is just a great feature to have. But then when you go to a lighter display, you can see it there. Now at first glance, I'm actually finding that pretty distracting to have on the screen. I just don't like the way that everything cuts into it, but I'm sure that's something I'll get used to, just like I did with the iPhone. But getting to the back of the device, now this is where things get interesting with all of these different cameras. So here you can see at the top, we've got the 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. In the middle, we've got the wide angle camera, which is 108 megapixels, which my mind can't even begin to comprehend. And then on the bottom here, as well as up there, we have the two telephoto 10 megapixel cameras. And the reason for the two is to combine the data for both simultaneously to hopefully give a lot more detail in the image. For the 108 megapixel camera, it means capturing so much detail, you should get really true to life colors and detail and the ability to crop way in. So I'm really excited to try that out. And taking a look at this screen recording, which I'm showing on screen, you can see just how far the 100 times zoom can go. You can see it gets really pixelated and blurry there. So while I don't think it's practical to use 100 times zoom, even something like 30 times zoom looks great so far, and I could see myself using that in the future. Now another addition to this phone is the ability to shoot 8K video. That's going to be at 24 frames per second, but still, the ability to do 8K on a phone and under $2,000 is just incredible. I'll have another video on the channel coming soon with more details on the camera. Now going back to the display, we've actually got this fingerprint scanner which is underneath the display, which is just incredible, and so far it's pretty responsive. Just try that again here. You can see it does happen pretty quickly. The only thing I would say is that I have to fully cover the sensor instead of just a quick tap in order to unlock it, whereas with Touch ID you didn't have to fully cover the button in order for it to unlock. Still, the ability to put something like this underneath the display is incredible. So taking a look at this in comparison with the 12 Pro Max, the weight is actually pretty comparable with these. The design obviously is a lot different with the rounded corners of the screen on this side, whereas the Pro Max is kind of having the jagged, sharp edges, the sharpest they've ever really been on an iPhone. But the curved edges here on the S21 Ultra are actually really welcome and I think going to feel really natural, especially considering you have the ability to slide over for shortcuts here. Now for a true comparison between these two phones, it would just take way too long. So if you're interested in seeing these go head to head on pretty much every spec, then be sure to subscribe to the channel to see a comparison between the two. Okay, so the ultimate question, will I be switching to the S21 Ultra from iPhone? And the answer is yes. For the time being, for the next month, I'm going to be testing out the S21 Ultra as I try to give an honest attempt to Android for about a month to see how comparable it is to iPhone. Like I said, even though I'm typically an Apple fanboy, all about that ecosystem, I'm a lover of technology and innovation and anything that sparks healthy competition in the tech industry. I applaud those who push the boundaries of what tech can do, and that's exactly what Samsung is doing with this phone. So I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you want more details on the S21 Ultra, comparison videos, more details on all of the specs, then be sure to subscribe because there's a ton more content coming in the next week. And as well, while you're down there, remember to hit the like button because it tells YouTube that videos like this don't suck. And if there's anything that you want to see specifically on the S21, leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to get to that in a future video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.